So this is the entrance to the Spring Hill Cemetery. And here's a plaque, just kind of tells you about the cemetery. Tennessee Pride Country Sausage. In 1943, with a $1,000 loan, Douglas Granville Odum Sr. and his wife, Louis Odum, converted a chicken house in Madison, Tennessee into a 4-hog-a-day meat grinding sausage business. So the sausage was packed in a clothing bag stamped with Tennessee Pride, which his wife Louis had sewn by hand. And with the back seat removed from their 1934 Chevy 4-door sedan, Douglas Sr. and his sons Doug Jr. and Richard loaded the orders and headed for the groceries in Nashville, Tennessee. And then said the back seat was replaced on Sundays to go to church. Said the Odums had twin daughters, Judy and June, whose small hands helped turn the clothing bags right side out. And while sitting at the kitchen table one day, Judy drew a picture for her dad of a strolling, pole-totting country boy. The family never dreamed of what this icon would come to symbolize. And Tennessee Pride became a sponsor of WSM's Grand Ole Opry in 1956, and the farm boy remained a huge backdrop for the Opry stage until 1982, when it came down to be awarded in souvenir portions to donors of the Hank Snow Foundation for Abused Children. Imagine yesteryear on a Friday or Saturday night broadcast of Opry music, hearing that familiar slogan, "Take home a package of Tennessee Pride." For 3 generations and nearly 70 years, the Odum family provided sausage for Tennessee and countless families across America and beyond. As such, Odum's Tennessee Pride Country Sausage became a household name and can still be purchased today in stores and institutions throughout the United States. And then there's more here on the back. So maintaining the family brand, says through the years, Doug Jr. oversaw the administration and sales, while Richard orchestrated the day-to-day operations and all plant facilities. Doug Jr., the second generation president of the company, was the founding chairman of the Tennessee Independent Meat Packers Association, and founding members of the Tennessee Packing Association included Bill Hardison of Rudy's Farm Country Sausage, Robert Baltz of Baltz Brothers Meat Packing Company, and Jimmy Fouch of Fouch Meat Packing Company. Said this organization alone was instrumental in gaining knowledge to propel each business into a successful future. Doug Jr. went on to become the first independent packer elected chairman of the American Meat Institute, and upon Doug's retirement, his brother Richard became chairman of Tennessee Pride and held that position until his retirement. And at that point, Larry Odum, Doug, and Robbie's son became the third generation president of the company in 1999, ultimately assuming the role of president, CEO, and chairman until the sale of the company in 2012. He was also the 2012 president of American Meat Institute, and this was the first time a father followed by his son would have the honor as president of the American Meat Institute. Sorry about the shade there. It's right beside a tree. It says the Odum family continues to be very active in the Madison community, which is where we are located, as participating members of the Madison Rivergate Area Chamber of Commerce, Madison Goodlettsville Rotary, Madison Kiwanis, King's Daughters Child Development Center, Discover Madison Incorporated, and humbly supports local schools, charities, and various events. And so, yes, they are buried here. There is the Odum family plot. And there is your Tennessee Pride country sausage boy. So down in front of him is Doug Odum Jr., who died in 2020. Robbie Hawkins Odum died in 2013. And this is the man that started it all, Douglas Granville Odum. Passed away in 1977. And his wife, Lewis Smith Odum, who died in 1994. And Richard Allen Odum, who passed away in February 20th, 2019. And then down below Richard, Larry Edward England. I'm not sure how he has a relationship with the Odums, but he has the same colored headstone and he's in the family plot. So yeah, Tennessee Pride Country Sausage. This is the family that started it, the Odum family. So in the same row as you see the Tennessee Pride Country Sausage boy there and the Odum family plot, in that same row, if you come on down, you'll find the grave of not Bill Monroe. Bill Monroe is actually buried in Kentucky with his parents, Rosaline, Kentucky. But you will find the grave of his wife, Carolyn Minnie Monroe, born May 15th, 1913, passed away July 31st, 1984. And then beside her is their daughter, Melissa Kathleen Monroe, born September 17th, 1936, and died December 3rd, 1990. And there's a bench with the name Monroe on it. So yeah, Bill Monroe, his wife, daughter are buried here, and his son will be buried here. He's already got a spot here, but has not passed yet. James William Monroe. I'm guessing that is his son. All right. Well, we're going to head on to the next one. So if you kind of come towards the back, as you can see, this is a huge cemetery. I think it has around 49,000 interments in it. But you'll have to stop and get you a map and find the grave as well to help you. But kind of towards the back to the side, you'll find the grave of Keith Whitley. And the future grave of his wife, Lori Morgan. And you can tell there's been a lot of people out here. Ground's been trampled down. Keith Whitley. He was 34 years old when he passed away. So Keith Whitley, country and bluegrass singer. He was born in Ashland, Kentucky, and grew up in Sandy Hook, Kentucky. He learned to play the guitar at a very young age and appeared on the Buddy Starcher regional television show as a small child. He formed a bluegrass band with his friend Ricky Skaggs a few years later. And when both boys were teenagers, they were asked to play spontaneously at a local show when Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys arrived late. Said Stanley came into the building while they were singing one of his songs and always said that he thought it was a jukebox playing his actual recording. He soon hired them for his band, and they stayed for 2 years until Keith went to work for Carl Jackson. And in 1974, or by 1974, he had already survived a car crash that was going 120 miles an hour and driving a car off a cliff into a river. But by 1978, his excessive drinking made him unreliable. He had developed a honky-tonk vocal sound, and in 1986, he married rising country music singer Lori Morgan and cracked the top 20 for the first time with My Amy. Keith finally reached the number one in 1988 with Don't Close Your Eyes, and he continued his streak with his well-known song, I'm No Stranger to the Rain. But just as he's begun to have some success, he died in 1989. In 2022, Whitley was posthumously inducted to the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum. Keith Whitley. He was a young rising star, man. But just couldn't put the bottle down. But he is by a big tree here. If you kind of look for a big tree now, you can probably be like, well, there's a bunch of big trees. Yeah, but that'll not narrow it down some. If you look for a big tree, he's close by. And it's a split headstone with flowers in the middle. So, all right. So as you can see, those red and white flowers up there, that is the grave of Keith Whitley. And so if you just pretty much walk straight down, that's tall headstone right there, says Morgan on it. You'll find the grave. Try to get out of the way here. George Morgan, who was Lori Morgan's father. He was also a musician, singer, guitarist in the 1950s, and he was referred to as the country crooner. Although he sang country music, his style was more to Bing Crosby or Perry Como than any other country singer. In 1948, he became a member of the Grand Ole Opry and recorded the song Candy Kisses. And you can see that right there. It said the Candy Kisses was a #1 hit for 3 weeks on the country music Billboard charts in 1949. His other country music Billboard hits was I'm in Love Again, which reached #3, and Room Full of Roses, You're the Only Good Thing, and Please Don't Let Me Love You, which all reached #4. Let's see here. He was also the last person to sing on stage of the Ryman Auditorium before the Grand Ole Opry moved to its new location in 1974, and the first in the new location. He is a member of the Country Music Hall of Fame, and like I mentioned, the father of the country music artist Lorrie Morgan. He died of complications having heart surgery. He was only 51 years old. George T. Morgan, born 1924, passed away 1975. Says a beautiful man, a beautiful voice, and a heart to match. And then, of course, beside him is his wife, Anastasia, which is Lorrie Morgan's mother, born 1931, passed away 2018. She is love's companion. Her spirit is our strength. So yeah, just come down, look for that tall headstone right there. It says Morgan. You'll find the grave of George and Anastasia Morgan. And way further back, come on back, you'll find the grave of Beth Slater Whitson. She was a songwriter. She was born in Goodrich, Hickman County. Now, Goodrich is just a little small town, not a city, but she was from Hickman County, which is my home county, just like Howard Forster. She wrote or co-wrote over 400 songs, short stories, and poems. Many of her writings appeared in early 20th century periodicals. In 1909, she wrote her first major hit song, Meet Me in Dreamland Tonight. This song was made famous in 1949 when it appeared in the movie In the Good Old Summertime. In 1910, she wrote the lyrics to her most popular song, Let Me Call You Sweetheart. It is recognized as one of the all-time sheet music bestsellers and was honored by the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2001. There you go, Beth Slater Whitson, born in 1879, passed away in 1930. She was 50 years old. And then beside her is her husband, George Whitson, who is a veteran. And then on the other side of her is her father, John Whitson, who was also born in Hickman County. And then her mother, Ann Slater Whitson. So yeah, Beth Slater Whitson. And come on back more towards the middle area in the back, you'll find the grave of Floyd Kramer, a piano player. He was a musician born in Shreveport, Louisiana. He was a self-taught pianist, renowned as one of the architects of the Nashville sound. In 1955, he moved to Nashville and became one of the most sought-after session musicians in town. He played on sessions to include Roy Orbison, the Everly Brothers, Patsy Cline, Perry Como, Chet Atkins, Boots Randolph, Owen Bradley, and Elvis Presley. He also recorded more than 50 solo albums with hits such as Last Date, San Antonio Rose, Fancy Plants, On the Rebound, and won a Grammy Award for Best Country Instrumental for the song My Blue Eyes in 1979. Besides country, he played rock, jazz, blues, gospel, and light classical. And in 2003, he was posthumously inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Country Music Hall of Fame, and into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame in 2008. And it looks like his wife is still living. So famed musician, piano player, Floyd Kramer, born October 27th, 1933, and passed away December 31st, 1977, at the age of 64. And come towards the very back, and you'll find a gazebo between two trees. And you come down right from the gazebo, you'll find the grave of John Hartford. He was a country and bluegrass musician born in New York. He is probably best known for composing the popular song Gentle on My Mind, his first major hit. It became one of the most widely recorded country songs of all times, winning 3 Grammy Awards, and was listed in Broadcast Music Industry's Top 100 Songs of the 20th Century. He was born John Claxton Hartford. Said he changed his surname to Hartford as an adult when he joined the music industry. And that song, Gentle on My Mind, it was recorded by a lot of famous artists. Elvis Presley, Glenn Campbell, and others recorded that song. His music became to be known as newgrass, and he is considered by many as a co-founder of that movement. During the 1980s and 90s, he changed record labels several times and wrote several soundtracks for the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And also lent his voice to acclaimed Ken Burns, the documentary series The Civil War, and baseball. During his life, he maintained a fascination for steamboats and earned his pilot's license in the 1970s. In the 1980s, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he succumbed to the disease at the age of 63 in 2001. During his career, he recorded over 30 albums. In Aeroplane in 1971 and Morning Bugle in 1972 are often considered to be his most influential works that define his non-traditional style in the newgrass world. And that bird is singing and talking. So right beside him is his wife, Marie Hartford. Died the same year, 2001. Down at the bottom it says, ever gentle on our minds. And you can see there's a fiddle right there, right between him and his wife. Very famous fiddle player. That was his instrument of choice. So yeah, I finally get done. Now the bird's gonna be quiet now. country musician Billy Walker and his wife Betty. So country singer from his West Texas home of Rawls. This country crooner went on to become one of country music's most successful recording stars during the 1960s. In 1949, he landed a spot on the Big D Jamboree in Dallas, Texas, and soon awarded his first recording contract. 3 years later, he was a regular on the Louisiana Jamboree and was instrumental in bringing Elvis Presley to the stage there. He had moderate success in the 50s, but his career took off when he joined the Grand Ole Opry in 1960, and in 1962 recorded his first #1 hit, Charlie's Shoes. Other #1 hits included Cross the Brazos at Waco, Word Games, and When a Man Loves a Woman. He had over 30 top 10 hits and was recognized by Billboard magazine as one of the top 20 most played artists during a recent 20-year span. Known as the Traveling Texan, the masked singer of country sings. The singing legend was killed along with his wife and 2 band members on an Alabama highway when their vehicle wrecked while returning from a concert. And you can see there the death date of both of them, May 21st, 2006. He was born January 14th, 1929. He was 77 years old. And she was born June 10th, 1944.